We start this hour with breaking news from here at the BBC, actually. The BBC announcing that Gary Lineker will be leaving the corporation now, sooner than originally planned. It's understood that bosses considered his position untenable after he posted an image on social media that was considered to be anti-Semitic. With all of the details for us and what we know at this moment, Lisa Mazimba is with me. Lisa, what statement do you have for us?
Well, the BBC have just posted in the last few seconds this statement on the BBC press office website saying Gary Lineker will leave his presenting role following the conclusion of Match of the Day for the 2024-25 season. He will not be part of the BBC's coverage of the 2026 World Cup or next season's FA Cup coverage. And there's a statement from Tim Davie, the BBC's Director General, says Gary has acknowledged the mistake he made. Accordingly, we've agreed he will step back from further presenting after this season. Gary has been a defining voice in football coverage for the BBC for over 2 decades. His passion and knowledge have shaped our sports journalism and earned him the respect of sports fans across the UK and beyond. We want to thank him for the contribution he's made. And Gary Lineker said, football has been at the heart of my life for as long as I can remember, both on the pitch and in the studio. I cared deeply about the game and about the work I've done with the BBC over many years. As I've said, I would never consciously repost anything anti-Semitic. It goes against everything I stand for. However, I recognise the error and upset that I caused and reiterate how sorry I am. Stepping back now feels like the responsible course of action. That statement just in the last few seconds from the BBC.
Just remind us of how we got to this point, though.
Last week, he reshared a post on social media which referred to Zionism and also which included an image of a rat. Now, the rodent has historically been used as an anti-Semitic insult. He quickly deleted the post and later apologised, saying he hadn't realised the significance of that and he would never knowingly post anything anti-Semitic. But of course, this is the latest in a long line of social media clashes, if you like, with the BBC. He has been one of the BBC's highest paid and most high profile presenters, and he's not been afraid of speaking his mind on controversial topics on social media. And that's how we've ended up at this point, in that he's apologised for what happened last week, but both he and the BBC have decided that it's time for them to part. He was originally supposed to do the 2026 World Cup and the next FA Cup. Now his final broadcast will be on Sunday, the final day of the Premier League season.
And Lisa, for those of our viewers who are watching from around the world, can you explain what Gary Lineker has meant to many football fans in the country, how important he's been to so much of the BBC's coverage of the sport?
He's been a huge figure in the world of sport, in the world of football. It's harder to think of many people, apart from the likes of David Beckham, who've made a bigger impact both in the UK and internationally. And he made the transition from being a successful England striker and footballer to becoming a successful sports broadcaster. He's presented Match of the Day, the BBC's flagship football programme, for more than 25 years. He's seen as an extremely able presenter who, of course, because of his unique position as a former professional and international footballer, brought an insight that most other people couldn't bring to sports broadcasting. So that combination of being incredibly insightful with an incredible bank of knowledge, along with being a very polished and well thought of presenter. That's why he's such a big deal for people here in the UK, because he's representative of perhaps the most popular sport in the UK on one of the BBC's most well thought of and historically important programmes, Match of the Day.
Some of his social media comments that have been controversial in the past have really raised issues around the BBC's impartiality and also how BBC guidelines are enforced. What has been the reaction to this last post that has in a way been different, though, to what we've had before?
Well, there have been calls for his resignation when that post happened. There have been others who have taken a different view, of saying he made a mistake and he apologised. But within the BBC, we understand people regarded this last issue as being something that made his position here untenable. And I would imagine there have been high-level discussions over the past few days about how to deal with this. And this is the result, the BBC and Gary Lineker deciding to go their separate ways.
Lisa, thanks so much. More on that story on the BBC News website, and they will have that statement that has just been released in the past few minutes or so up there very shortly. So do log on and take a look for the latest.